Well, hello everybody. My name is Mike, and I'm a good friend of Matt. And Matt has actually asked me to explain the story of Good Friday and of Easter and what each actually represents to people who are Christians around the world. So I'm going to be reading from the book of Matthew, and the scriptures are really going to explain the story of Good Friday, which is the day that Jesus was crucified, and then Easter Sunday, which is the day of his resurrection. But this is the first part, and we're going to be reading again from Matthew 27, starting at verse 1. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people came to the decision to put Jesus to death. They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. Now Pilate was the Roman governor over Judea at the time of Christ living on earth. Now we're going to be moving on to the trial. So we're now moving on to verse 11 of chapter 27. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "Yes, it is as you say," Jesus replied. When he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, "Don't you hear this testimony they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge. So to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the feast to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At the time, they had a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So the crowd had gathered, and Pilate asked them, Which one do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who was called Christ?" For he knew it was out of envy that they had handed Jesus over to him. And they were envious because of all the miracles and the teachings that Christ had given, even raising the dead, so they could not refute the power that was within Jesus. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: "Don't have anything to do with this innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Christ executed. "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered. "What shall I do then with Jesus who was called Christ?" Pilate asked. They all answered, "Crucify him." "Why, what crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him." When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but that instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. "I am innocent of this man's blood," he said. "It is your responsibility." All the people gathered or answered, "Let his blood be on us and our children."
We're at the 4-minute mark, just to let you know.
He released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. Then Jesus got led to be crucified, and then finally they put him up on the cross. And this is what it says, starting at verse 45. From the 6th hour until the 9th hour, darkness came all over the land. About the 9th hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, he said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a stick, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. Jesus died on the cross to pay a price that we could not. And this was the most important, crucial moment in history, because that death changed everything. And to the next video, we're going to talk about his resurrection and